Okay, y'all. This one is going to be dark. Let's talk about a Halloween horror story. Hi, Dad. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weary Lore. As it is the spookiest month of the year, I wanted to do some videos on Halloween, my favorite holiday. I know, shock and awe. My favorite holiday is Halloween? No one would have ever guessed. I know, I'm entering the game a little late, but things have been crazy, so let's just try to do some catch-up. Today, we are starting with a Halloween horror story that took place right in my home state, Ohio. On Halloween night in 2010, a teenager was scarred for the rest of his life. Let me preface this by saying this is recent. Normally, I would talk about things way in the past, hundreds of years ago, things that happened where there's no one alive that was there when they happened. That is not the case here. So, I'm going to be as respectful as possible while sharing my own opinion. But keep in mind, it is only my opinion. Some things may come out later that prove everything wrong. Anything alleged, should there be anything alleged, could change. This story is only 14 years old, not even a legal adult by our standards. Understood? Good. Let's get into it. This story starts in an unconventional place, church. On October 31st, 2010, Devon Griffin had started his day like any other day. After a quick trip home in the morning to grab his choir robes, he'd gone to church to sing like any other Sunday. Nothing had seemed amiss at the house during his quick stop. He'd spoken for a few moments to his stepbrother in the driveway and was on his way. After church, the 16-year-old made his way back to his stepfather's and mother's home, once again not noticing anything was off. As any teenager would, he settled down to play some video games. It was during his gaming session that he received a call from his aunt, Lori Morse, who was concerned because his brother Derek had not shown up that morning to help her husband with some construction, and she couldn't get a hold of him or his mother. This was when things started to go wrong. Upon moving to investigate the still home, Devon found something that no teenager, no person, should ever encounter. He found his parents in their bed, a blanket pulled up over their heads. When he pulled the blanket down, he saw a gruesome sight, one so traumatizing that his brain did not concede it was real. He thought it was a prank. He thought his parents were playing a Halloween prank on him. But he was wrong. At this point, Devon was hysterical, as anyone would be. He just found his stepfather, William Liske, and his mother, Susan Liske, brutally slain in their own bed, both of them having suffered multiple gunshot wounds as well as other injuries. As if that wasn't enough, it was also discovered that his brother, Derek Griffin, had been bludgeoned to death in his bed. Devon was living a Halloween horror story straight out of a movie. There is a theory that the only reason Devon himself survived was because he stayed at his father's house the night before. But I'm sure that's no comfort to him. After the discovery, Devon called his aunt back. There's not a lot of details that I could find on this call. I only found it being described as hysterical and that Devon was in tears. Lori quickly made her way to the house and entered. finding William and calling the police. It was then that the police started putting together a timeline of events and suspects. In a cruel twist of fate, Devon was suspected of the crime. Imagine that. Your whole world has just been crushed and you are being treated as a criminal. I know. Due process, all of that. But it still seems heartless. But I guess it has happened. There are some very good actors out there. Ultimately, Devon was cleared. That led the police to his stepbrother, William Liske, also known as BJ. Here's how the story goes. The night before Halloween, William and BJ came back from a week-long hunting trip. When they came home, there was a celebration, a get-together, with a neighbor that lasted until midnight. At this celebration, there was drinking. BJ, in particular, drank heavily. Here's where the knowledge of some of BJ's history becomes important. It has been reported officially that BJ struggled with his mental health. These struggles became worse when he drank. In 2004, he was arrested and charged with assault for hitting someone with a coffee cup. Who was this someone? His stepmother, Susan Liske. This was a recipe for disaster. Because of BJ's heavy drinking, his father allowed him to sleep on the couch that night, instead of going back to the group home in Sandusky where he was supposed to be staying. Now, we're back at the morning, Halloween morning, when Devon saw his stepbrother briefly in the driveway outside of his home as he ran in to get his choir robes. At that time, nothing seemed off. But hindsight is 2020. BJ had been loading something into his father's truck. Then, BJ disappeared. He was eventually found, 170 miles away at the very same hunting cabin that he'd stayed at with his father. He was caught, almost literally red-handed. They discovered the gun, a .22 caliber, believed to be the murder weapon, in his father's truck, along with blood evidence. Additionally, they found a bloody hammer in a closet. Pause here. This doesn't seem right to me. At the crime scene, the killer had been meticulous. The crime scene was clean. There were no shell casings, there were no signs of forced entry, there were no signs of robbery. But then this very same person left a gun and blood evidence in a truck and a bloody hammer in a closet? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that BJ isn't the perpetrator. I'm saying that I feel like there's more to it than that. Or there was. This is that part where my opinion, just my opinion, comes in. In the articles I read, BJ's mental health was mentioned but almost brushed aside, like it doesn't matter. I can hear you now. It doesn't matter. He killed 3 people. Mental health doesn't matter in these cases. But it does. It's believed that BJ had schizophrenia, bipolar schizophrenia. If there's one mental illness that terrifies me, it's schizophrenia. Schizophrenia can cause hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thinking, and disorganized behaviors. Someone with schizophrenia can literally see and hear things that other people can't. Just imagine having this disorder, also clearly having other mood regulatory issues as BJ showed violent behaviors before, then getting drunk. We cannot imagine what might have been going through his head. Yes, he was deemed mentally fit to stand trial. But the stark difference in the two behaviors just really gets to me. Okay, let's move on. BJ was found guilty. He eventually confessed. On March 19th, during a telephone call with his mother, she stated, "You did it. You did all this." And BJ simply replied, "Yes." It was at that time that he changed his plea to guilty, and he was sentenced 3 life sentences without parole. That seems fair, right? End of story. Close the book. No. On March 31st, 2015, BJ Liske was found dead in his prison cell. I really tried to find the exact details of this, but I failed. All I could find was that the death was being investigated as a suicide, one caused by a self-inflicted wound. The end. Full circle. But it just doesn't feel right. What do you think? BJ himself apologized for his actions, blaming them on his mental illness and Satan. Is this another failure of the mental health care system in the United States? Or is it just senseless violence? If there had been more care, more understanding, could this tragedy have been avoided? There is a mental health crisis in the United States right now. Nearly 60 million adults suffer from some sort of mental illness, with nearly 13 million of those adults having thoughts about harming others or themselves. If you take nothing else from this video, please take this. Your mental health is important. Your friends' mental health is important. Your family's mental health is important. Yes, I know, October is spooky, scary, skeletons month. But what's more scary than your own brain twisting your reality into something unrecognizable? If you or anyone else you know is in a mental health crisis, please use the resources on screen. To close out this video, I just want to say that I hope Devon and the rest of the Liske family are doing well and have learned to cope with this tragedy. I hope they are living their lives to the fullest. I wish them and all of you nothing but the best. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.